I found out I was the other man, the one who ruined someone else's family. After 2 years of loving a woman I truly believed was mine. We lived together, I was planning to propose. I honestly thought I was the only man in her life, until one night, I saw her holding her husband's hand, carrying their child, walking into their perfect home like I had never existed, and in that moment, I realized I wasn't the victim. I was the fool who fell in love with a married woman and never saw it coming. My name is Sam, I'm 30 this year, and for the past 2 years I've been in love with someone named Ellie, a love I thought was right, real, and one of a kind. We met on a Wednesday, or more precisely, a Wednesday afternoon in spring, at my usual coffee shop. She came alone, sat at the table by the window, holding a notebook and an old fountain pen. Her hair was neatly tied back, she wore a white shirt, and her eyes seemed to belong to another world. I didn't strike up a conversation that day, but I remembered her, and the next day she came again. Then the day after that. A week later I offered her a latte. She looked up at me, slightly surprised but didn't refuse. That's how the story began, gently, without too many expectations. We'd walk in the park after work, talk about our favorite books, old songs, and even fears that not everyone dares to share. She was afraid of planes. I was afraid of losing my mom. She loved silent films. I was into documentaries about the universe. 3 months later, Ellie moved in with me, not because we were rushing, but because everything felt so natural that there was no need to think twice. I'd never seen anyone love the kitchen like she did. She could spend an entire evening just making a pot of soup, carefully tending to every ingredient. Every time I came home and saw the kitchen light on, I knew I was lucky. And then, one day, I decided I would propose. I hid the ring in the drawer of my desk, right behind an old sketchbook. I wanted to wait for a special occasion, maybe her birthday or our 2-year anniversary. I even planned to take her to the mountains in Colorado where we'd gone on our first trip together. Ellie loved snow. I wanted to propose when the snow started falling, but then, things didn't go as I imagined. One Friday evening, I canceled a date with her because I had to meet a client urgently. Ellie said it was fine, told me not to worry. I remember texting her after 9 p.m., "Have you eaten yet?" No reply. That wasn't unusual. Some nights she went to bed early or put her phone on silent. But that night, for some reason, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned. Around midnight, I decided to drive to my sister's place. She'd just moved in with her boyfriend, and I thought I'd drop by to clear my head. But as I drove through the north side of the city, where the neighborhoods are quieter, wealthier, I saw something that made me nearly slam on the brakes in the middle of the road. She was standing in front of a beautiful 2-story house, holding a bouquet of flowers and kissing another man. I don't know how long I stood there. The only question ringing in my head was, who is that? And why is Ellie here? I didn't make a scene. I didn't rush in. I just backed the car up and parked in a shadowy corner, watching from a distance. They didn't see me. A while later, the lights in the house came on. A child's silhouette ran out, about 3 or 4 years old. The kid hugged the man's leg. Then, Ellie bent down, picked up the child, and kissed its forehead. I nearly threw up right then and there. I didn't go home that night. I slept in the car, in the parking lot of a gas station. The next morning, I quietly returned. Ellie was already back. She was baking, her white t-shirt dusted with a bit of flour on the sleeve. I didn't say anything. I just sat down in a chair, looking at her. "Ellie," I called. "Yeah," she replied, not turning around. "Where were you last night?" She looked up, paused for a few seconds, then answered. "I went to dinner with a friend. Why?" I stared at her for a long time, then, slowly, I said, "I saw you in Woodlands. You were hugging a man, and a child." The room went so quiet it was suffocating. Ellie didn't say anything. Her face went pale. Her hand rested lightly on the kitchen counter, trembling slightly. I stood up, walked to the desk drawer, and took out the ring. I placed it in front of her. "I was going to propose, next week, in Colorado. Do you remember the time we went hiking?" Ellie looked at me, her lips quivering. I can explain. I'm listening. She took a deep breath. Then, very slowly, she said, "My name isn't Ellie. My real name is Marianne. That man is my husband. We've been married for 4 years. The child is our son." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because I didn't know how else to react. "So you're saying for 2 years I've been the other guy in your family?" "No, Sam. I love you. I really love you. But it's not that simple. I didn't mean to betray anyone. I got lost for a while." I stepped back, my head feeling like it was about to explode. Marianne, you have a family, a child, and you chose to hide that for 2 whole years? You came here, lived with me, cooked, loved, talked about the future, while you were married? "We were separated," she said quickly. "I didn't know things would drag on like this. I thought I'd leave that marriage, but then..." I didn't listen further. I went into the bedroom, closed the door, and sank to the floor. Everything beautiful we'd had crumbled in an instant. I didn't leave that room all afternoon. I just lay there on the cold wooden floor staring at the ceiling. My eyes didn't close, but they weren't focused on anything either. Outside, I heard her cleaning up. Softly, carefully, as if dropping a glass would shatter me too. That evening, I didn't eat. She left a plate of pasta on the table, then quietly went to the bedroom. Not a word, not a hurried step. She knew. Any excuse would be pointless. I lay on the sofa all night. No blanket, no pillow, no music to fill the void between us. The next morning I woke up with a splitting headache, not from lack of sleep, but because my brain wouldn't stop thinking. The only question that kept repeating was, how did I not see it? 2 years. We lived together, ate together, slept together. She woke up early, cooked, kissed me every morning. She did everything as if I were the only one. No strange texts, no signs. I started recalling every little detail. The times she'd hold her phone and go quiet for a few seconds. The days she said she was meeting an old friend and I never questioned it. The moments she silenced her notifications and said, "Just spam ads." I believed her. And now I felt like an idiot. That afternoon, she knocked on the bedroom door. I didn't answer. She opened it, standing there, holding a cup of tea. "I know, you don't want to see me right now," her voice was soft, almost breaking. I stayed silent. "But I want to say everything, at least so you understand. Then, if you want to hate me or leave, I won't stop you." I looked up at her. Her eyes were red, but she wasn't crying. She set the tea down, sitting a safe distance away, as if she herself was afraid of hurting me more. "Ellie isn't a fake name, it's my middle name. I started using it when I felt like I wasn't myself anymore in that marriage." I sighed. "Marianne, I don't need philosophical explanations. You lied." "You think I don't hate myself for it?" she almost burst out. "You think I enjoyed living 2 lives? I didn't plan this. When I met you, I just wanted a quiet afternoon, a cup of tea, a corner in a coffee shop where no one knew me. But then you came." "So what?" I snapped. "You could have said no. You could have walked away. You could have kept me out of this mess. But you didn't." She went quiet. "You have a child, Marianne," I said, my voice low. "A kid. What were you thinking when you slept in my arms while your son was waiting for his mom? What were you thinking when I talked about dreaming of a family when you already had one?" She closed her eyes, leaning back, as if stabbing herself in the heart. I thought I'd lost everything. My husband, we stopped talking, we slept in separate rooms, he was always away on business. I felt invisible in my own home until I met you. I felt like I existed again. I stood up, heading for the door. "I can't listen to this anymore." "Sam," she called, her voice trembling. "I love you. That was real." I turned back, looking straight into her eyes. "You love me, but you hugged your husband in front of your house. You love me, but let your son call another man dad. You love me. How?" She broke down crying, the first time since yesterday. but I didn't have the softness left to turn back. I walked out of the room, out of the apartment, out of everything that was once us. I stayed at Ben's, my best friend from college. He didn't ask much, just sat me down, poured me a whiskey, and said, "I don't know what's going on, but if you need a place to scream, go for it." I didn't scream. I just drank in silence, then said the first thing in hours. I was the other guy. Ben nearly choked on his drink. I didn't know. I had no idea, Ben. She has a husband, a kid, and I lived like an idiot, suspecting nothing. Ben gripped my shoulder. "You're not an idiot. You trusted the person you loved. That's what good people do." I gave a bitter laugh. Good people don't deserve this. 3 days later, I went back to the apartment. Marianne was gone. Everything of hers was gone, like she'd never existed. But the teacup she'd left was still there, on the table, cold. I picked it up, then put it down. I started cleaning the whole apartment, erasing every trace of her, the green dress she used to wear hanging behind the bathroom door. I threw it out. The spice jar with her handwritten label. I dumped it. The photos on the wall. I took them down, one by one. I didn't cry. I wasn't angry either. I was just tired. Tired to the point I didn't know what to do but keep living. I went back to work after a week. Honestly, I didn't have much choice. Life goes on no matter how broken you are inside. Deadlines still loomed, clients still called, rent didn't pay itself. Luckily, I'm a freelancer. No need to face anyone. Just turn on the computer, work, shut it off, stay quiet. Everyone around me thought I was fine. No one knew I'd planned to buy 2 tickets to Colorado to propose to someone else's wife. No one knew that every night I sat in the dark, replaying every word, every hug, every morning, waking up beside her, my heart sliced in half. Once I opened my phone, about to text her, not to forgive, just, I missed her voice. I missed the way she laughed when I grimaced at spicy food. I missed how she'd place her hand on my chest, feeling my heartbeat, as if she really cared. But then I deleted the message, like deleting a part of myself. A month later, I saw her. By chance. I was in line for coffee, the old shop, the familiar corner. I'd avoided it for a while, but that day, for some reason, I went back. She walked in, her hair was shorter, still in a white shirt, still with that gentle walk, but she looked thinner than before. Our eyes met. Neither of us spoke. She walked over, stood in front of me, as if waiting for me to say something. I only said, "You doing okay?" She nodded. "And you?" "All right," I said, with a smile that wasn't happy. "I'm sorry, Sam. I know an apology changes nothing, but I still wanted to say it." I nodded, not answering right away. The barista called my name. I grabbed my coffee, turned back to her. "Have you gone back to your husband?" She stayed silent, then shook her head. "He knows everything. We're going through a divorce." I didn't know what to feel, vindicated, regretful, or just empty. She asked, "Do you hate me?" I looked at her for a long time, then shook my head. "No, I don't hate you, I just regret. Because if you'd been honest from the start, things might have been different." Her eyes welled up, but this time, she didn't cry. I said goodbye first, walked away without looking back. Part of me wanted to turn around, to hug her one more time, but the other part, the one that learned a painful lesson, told me, "Don't." I started keeping a journal. Not the kind with a lock or vanilla-scented paper, just a word file. I named it Shadow Corner. Every day, I wrote a few lines. No need for coherence, just truth. I wrote about the little things I remembered, the soft rattle of the window when the wind blew hard, the faint scent of her perfume on her clothes, the way she curled up sleeping like a cat, the times she asked me, "If I disappeared one day, would you look for me?" Back then I laughed and said I'd search to the ends of the earth. Now I'm not searching for anyone. 3 months later I got a package. No return address. Inside was a handwritten letter, in a script I knew by heart, every curve of the ink. I don't expect you to read this, but I'm writing anyway. I was wrong in how I started, wrong in staying silent, but I was never wrong in loving you. I know my love for you isn't enough for you to forgive me, but if there's another life, if I get to meet you again in a new life, free of burdens, free of mistakes, I'd run to hug you the moment we meet. I hope you'll love again, but this time with someone who truly belongs to you. Ellie. I folded the letter. Didn't cry. Didn't smile either. Just something softened in my chest. I'm 31 this year. Almost a year has passed. I haven't loved anyone new. I'm not ready yet. But I've started again. I moved to a new apartment, planted a few small cacti on the windowsill. At night I play soft jazz, sip a beer, read a few pages of a book. I'm learning to live alone, not lonely, but whole. And sometimes, on quiet evenings, I still think of Ellie. It doesn't hurt anymore. It's just a memory. Someone who once made me think I'd found the one, only to realize that sometimes the most beautiful love is the one you can't hold on to. I can't count how many times I've thought about deleting all the old photos from my hard drive. Every time I open the Ellie folder, I hesitate. Something stops me from erasing it all. Not because I haven't let go, but because I need the reminder that what happened was real. That love was real. Even if it started with a lie, my feelings weren't fake. The memories, painful as they are the only proof that I lived, loved, and walked through a storm. I met someone new on a rainy day. Her name is June. Nothing to do with Ellie. No one introduced us. No cinematic moment. Just sitting next to each other in a public library, both reading Sapiens, both laughing at the part about humanity's delusion of happiness. We didn't fall in love right away. No love at first sight. Everything started slowly, quietly, like someone relearning to walk after a broken leg. She told me about a past relationship that ended because of betrayal. I listened, and for the first time, I told my story. Completely. No hiding, no shame. June didn't judge. She just said, "You lived honestly. That's the most valuable thing." I don't know where the future will lead, but I know one thing. If someone is patient enough to hear all my broken pieces, I'll try to learn to love them with a heart that's more whole. One early winter morning, June asked me, "If you could go back to the first day you met Ellie, would you avoid it?" I was quiet for a long time. Then I said no, I'd still sit at that table, I'd still offer her a latte. And why? Because without her, I'd never have learned the value of truth, and I wouldn't be mature enough to love someone, sincerely, without illusions. June smiled. That's good. I looked at her. The way the light spilled through the window onto her shoulder made me feel strangely at peace. Not like Ellie. And maybe because it's not like her, I'm not afraid anymore. Recently, I opened that old Word file. I added one line. Today, I'm no longer in the shadows. I didn't delete any of it. No need, because it's all me. The foolish parts, the weak parts, and the parts growing stronger again. I still remember Ellie, but the memory has become something lighter, like an old breeze passing through. Like walking by a street you used to know well, but now it's changed. You pause for a moment, smile, and keep going. No looking back. No more pain. Just something that was